welcome. We are often asked to use our heads as against our hearts. But I want your heart to be here for the next 15 minutes because this space is going to talk to you about the new benchmark for exceptional leadership and extraordinary success. The emotional intelligence benchmark. Yes, the new essential, the EQ factor. We will nurture your emotions while you nurture the emotions of those you lead. We want you to step up, step out, and experience extraordinary leadership starting now. Let's go. Whenever there's talk of leadership, there is a certain heaviness about the word. It is weighty. It's kind of big. While we accept the bigness of the word completely, I still would like to take you to a slight detour to the other side to it. The people side, the emotion side, the side on which a leader can have maximum impact. In fact, massive impact. The softer side, the human side, the humane side, the side which is not always prime in the minds of the leaders. I'm not here to teach you, but I'm here to add that extra edge to the work of a leader so that he can lead not just from the head, but also from the heart. Every time I meet leaders or people in leadership positions, I always ask them the question, what does leadership mean to them? What is leadership to you? And every time I hear them talk, there is a lot of the alphabet I in that conversation, what they want to do. And that gets me thinking whether this alphabet I could mean more than just an ego identity or a position of the leader. Could it be something more? What all can this I be in the context of leadership? I believe it can be a lot more. And I call it the 5 inescapable I's. Inescapable I's. And these should be ingrained in the psyche of every leader, every person in the position of leadership. The first I is influence. We've all heard this one before. Leadership is influence. Now, influence is a huge definition. And whenever I embrace this definition, hundreds of things come to my mind. Hundreds of things and hundreds of ways in which we can create influence. We pick up the thesaurus, there are hundreds of corresponding words that mean influence. And what is it really? They say leadership is influence, nothing less, nothing more. And that asks us to understand the meaning of this influence. What is it? Is it a position? Is it a method? Is it what? What really is this influence? And the answer is very simple. It is not the literary meaning of any of these things, but it is the effect of influence. It is the effect of any of the methods used to create influence that creates leadership. The effect of influence. Influence not alone, the method not alone, but the effect of influence that creates and makes leadership. Every leader would affect in their own way, but where and how do we measure this effect? And this is where it is. At the receiving end of your influence are living, thinking, feeling human beings. These are the people who get that effect of your influence. The effect of influence is experienced in their environment. It is over them. It is over their lives. It is over their work. It is over their emotions. Now, when these people come to work, they bring in their aims, their emotions, their problems, everything together when they come to a place of work. Now, this may not be relevant to the work at hand at all, but it is relevant to them. It is their reality. That means when a leader wants to create influence, keeping that reality in mind, that sensitivity to people and their problems, their reality is extremely important. It's crucial. Not knowing that, not empathizing with that, not being sensitive enough could be fatal for a leader. Now we need to realize that a leader has to cut through all these realities to create any kind of effect. Not knowing them not understanding them, is not something that a leader can afford to do. As Jim Collins said in his book, Good to Great, this is a level 5 kind of leadership where it is not ego-driven but self-effacing. The leader, instead of being in the center, withdraws and channels his personal needs, personal ego needs into a bigger goal, a larger goal. And the moment that happens, the whole picture changes. The effect of influence gets into a bigger picture, an inclusive picture. Because a leader's actions are never random or meaningless. They affect multiple people and multiple realities. Therefore, influence, to be influenced, has to affect a reality, somebody's reality, and the realities that we just spoke about. And the reality should be from one point, should start moving from one point to another, as in to benefit other people's reality. And influence, to be an effect, has to affect realities. This brings me to the two very powerful ways in which a leader can have influence: by impacting people and by igniting a passion in them to follow and act. The next two I's, impact and ignite. Now, how does one ignite a passion in people? These are two very powerful words, I like them. How does one become a driving force? Can you ignite passion and commitment in others around you? How do you do that? How is it? How does one become a driving force? What is that combination of experience, of genes, of education, of upbringing, of conditioning, of religious leanings, of social thinking, of internal responses that creates this kind of alchemy in a leader, that creates that perfect concoction of a leader who can influence, impact and ignite people? How does one become such a force? There is one way. In fact, there is only one way, and that is to inspire certainty in the minds of people. Psychologically, the human mind looks for certainty, and that's a very basic human need. People have to be certain. They have to know where they are, where they're going, why they're doing what they're doing. And that kind of certainty in the mind is extremely important. What is the achievement value for them in what they're doing? Now, how does one bring in that certainty in the minds of people, especially if it's the work of the leader? Now, the words of the leader, that certainty comes how? The words of the leader have to pour out that certainty, the right set of words. The right set of words that make a point, the words that make a difference, that real purpose, that sense of direction, that impact, that is what creates fire and commitment in the minds of people. That is what ignites people, that sense of certainty. Yes, they know where they're going, and they know who's leading them, and they know that that person is going to get them there. That kind of certainty has to be there in the minds of people. It is when a leader can indulge in issues as well as in people with full engagement of mind and emotions, his own and those of others, that's when there is impact. Complete indulgence, immersion and involvement in people. When the leader can deal with conflicting realities with absolute certainty that everything can be handled, that's when you can ignite passion and commitment in people. Remember, you're affecting their realities, you're affecting their lives if you're not taking them in a way that instills confidence in their minds about where they're going. It's impossible to have them follow you. Therefore, a leader has to be able to create that kind of impact. That kind of fire should be ignited in the minds of people. The next I, the most crucial I, is intention. This I leads the leader. Sociologists say that even an introverted person would influence over 10,000 people in his lifetime. Now that's a revelation for me. I did not know this. That a person who's just there, who doesn't intend to influence, would still pass up multiple opportunities to create impact and influence with over 10,000 people. Just think about it, that's an impressive number. Now come to a person who wants to lead, who intends to lead, who intends to make a difference, who intends to have some people follow him, who intends to have some results, who intends to make it happen. Then what happens? We are having multiple opportunities to create impact and influence with each and every person every time we meet them. So this needs to be understood. Whether a leader is leading with an intent to lead, is there the right kind of intention? Whenever people are put into a leadership position, they just begin to get the work done. Instead, if we switch to a place where the person intends to lead with influence and impact, the whole scenario changes. It becomes a completely different scenario. Think from the perspective of intention. I intend to do something out here. The scenario changes. I want to do something. The scenario is different. So the moment we switch to that place, the whole impact of the thing changes. Just imagine what kind of impact potential, what kind of influence potential one gains when one leads intentionally, knowing what is needed of them, knowing what is expected of them, knowing where they are going, knowing what to do with whatever they have and whoever they are. Clear intention. Clear intention creates absolute certainty about what one wants to achieve. The vision of that milestone, knowing that every decision, every attitude, every action is going to affect the result in getting to that milestone, and knowing that a number of people are going to be affected on the way. Intention. Intent is an amazing tool. It's a very, very powerful tool. It is that crystal clear intent that gives absolute certainty about what one wants to do, what a leader wants to do. It is that absolute certainty that makes leaders rise to challenges, that makes them face attacks, criticism, and still keep moving. It is that crystal clear intention that gives that clear sense of direction, that absolute certainty in the minds of the leader and in the minds of those he is leading. That brings me to the last I, and again we've come back to the identity I where we started with, but this I is going to be different because this is called the icon I for icon. Whenever I think of a leader, I think of someone who can command that kind of presence and respect. Now this person has to be somebody who I can look up to. This person can only be a person who is living in that space, who is living that icon through his life, through his conduct, through his work, through his spoken word. Now this is the way somebody would look at an icon. It has to be larger than life. Somebody who can understand life and the nuances of life better than everybody else. And that requires awareness of one's own emotions and depths. Awareness of the human perception and the human mind. Understanding and appreciation of the human needs, of the human drive, why people do what they do. And that kind of awareness creates personal charisma. When you can lead with authority and strength, or can I say lead like an icon. I want to put a question to you. Can people see the light that you carry, the cause, the purpose, what is it that you're working about? That is something really, really important. It may not be your ego identity, but it is the absolute identification with a purpose, with a cause that will have people follow you. Do you know that your light is something that's going to light the path for others? Is your light visible? Is it like an icon? Do you stand out like an icon in the lives of people? This is very important. Please do embrace the 5 I's because it is going to add that extra edge to your work as a leader. Thank you so much for watching. This is Abha Banerjee. See you next time.